Hello and welcome back to GPVWC Academy in 2023 for the 15th round, the Japanese Grand Prix at the Suzuka International Racing Course. My name is Edward Hunter and I'm commentating on my birthday of all days. Alongside me in broadcast direction is, of course, the ever-reliable Heigo Poom. And, of course, we're commentating a couple of weeks after the previous round in Korea. A couple of new faces were there running towards the front, and of course we did have Alessandro Maggio returning and finishing, I believe, on the podium in third in both races. Here is a new venue then, of course, but the faces here, they will be familiar to you, the likes of Joe Gillette, Junis Karula, Oliver Taras, all very familiar names as we are now in the final 4 minutes of qualifying, and it's Gillette, best a man can get, but leads the qualifying standings by half a second, then just under half a second from Junis Karula. Junis Karula has won before, of course, I believe, and I don't think Joe Gillette has in Academy yet. And of course, we've got Oliver Taras, another previous pole sitter from earlier in the season. This man riding on board with Eric Chaltman, who I don't believe has taken part in Academy before, but is going very, very well in his baby blue machine. We've got a lot of new faces as well. We've got Ishmael Rodriguez, who is currently holding on to fifth as Chaltman really gets sideways through Spoon there. Had to absolutely soar away at the wheel to a full opposite lock-in places there to stop it from getting away from him, and that is going to really ebb time away. Cannot afford to just light up the rear tyres and lose traction like that. And Davide Zanini in chat, I think it's one of the 6 people watching, says Joe Gotilet. Eric Chaltman definitely negotiates one VDR. Now into Casio Triangle he comes, the rear just hanging out there, and that's not normal. That always happens when you go over the curb. Chaltman now, after a slightly slow middle sector, has to hope he's done enough in the first and final sectors to get on to the second row of the grid, and he has not, because he's abandoned that lap. 2.5 minutes to go then, so Chaltman will have to... Oh no, he did get that lap in. It's third fastest. There we go, 1:56.4. You always forget how slow these Academy cars are. This is Domenico Scarpelli, a regular in Academy, get himself into the top 7 there with 2 minutes 20 left to go. But Joe Gillette is looking very, very tidy for a first pole position here. 4 attempts, and they're currently ahead of Oliver Taras, who's just moved up to second. So Karula losing 2 positions in quick succession. At the back of the grid, Fahid Ahmed, who, full disclosure, is driven for me in ERC Endurance Championship in GD3 at, I believe it was previous race at Mugello, I think, but Ahmed was, oh no, it was the one after Mugello, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. She was very bad of me. It was actually Suzuka, wasn't it? Yep, it was Suzuka, as we see, a great lap near the end there by, that looks like Bretislav Chitil, who's gotten himself up to second, 0.37 now behind Joe Gillette, and crucially just ahead of Oliver Taras then. But Gillette has set a purple middle sector here, absolutely sliding into Casio Triangle, and sliding too much there because he's on the grass and facing the wrong way. And that's very nearly what happened in the FSR World Championship yesterday to Jake Denahan at the very end of the race. Of course, the championship there being settled in favour of Jene Simoncic, as we see 10th place Ujawin Zelhuis getting himself up into the top 10. Scarpelli set another good lap to get him to secure that 7th place. Uchitil showing he set a purple time there. I think he was definitely purple in the final sector there. So that 56.3. Yeah, this is weird. So it's showing Joe Gillette 156.9 is his best, but Uchitil is set at 56.3. So that's somewhat confusing. There we go. Just because it's not updated, he's set at 56.0, his best lap. The timing screen here is useless because it's not showing the actual laps that they have set, as Frederick John only able to get into 18th there, and that's last 7.5 seconds down on Joe Gillette then. Thomas Hutzka, another driver who gets around in these GPV series. Hutzka gets himself into 8th place ahead of Philip Savinsky. Marek Petras has been since the beginning of the season. This is going to be his final lap there. Down in 14th position. Can he get himself ahead of Christian Vazdar? It'll be a decent qualifying lap for him. He is up in the first sector. pretty clean through Spoon. Checker flag is out. And I believe, is anyone improving out there? Uchitil, well, his final lap is over, and it's a 56.4, so not good enough. He's still 4 temps down then on Joe Gillette, as Petras, he's up in Sector 2 as well, so this is looking very good. Ismael Rodriguez has also gone a bit quicker in the first sector. He's about 2 temps down on pole. Petras now comes towards the line, and what's it going to be for Marek? Is a 150. It's 10th place. Wow, that's a great improvement there in all 3 sectors. 157.4. As here comes Ismael Rodriguez, looking very, very quick in the middle sector, and it's onto the front row. There we go, just 2.5 temps down on Joe Gillette. Here's Oliver Taras, took pole at the Nürburgring earlier this season. Dearly love to replicate that. Nick in chat says Christian Vasco, he'll get pole last second, trust. Well, it's not looking great for Vazdar at the moment, and in 14th position, but he is faster in the first sector, but 2 seconds off in the middle. There we go, Vazdar going backwards across the line, so I think that very much proves my point. Of course, private session, that won't interrupt Kutka at all, or indeed anybody else. But here comes Kutka towards the line. What's it going to be for the Polish driver? It is going to be 7th fastest, so he gets him just ahead of Domenico Scarpelli. Savinsky, faster in the first sector, but 7 temps down in middle sector there. So this is going to have to be in a heroic final sector with the checker flag out, and it's not faster. Philip Savinsky will start no better than 9th, but Taras gets himself up to 3rd ahead of Uchitil. And yeah, that lap from Ismael Rodriguez remains good enough for 2nd then. So very, very impressive lap by Rodriguez and Uchitil on their debuts. And Choutman as well in 5th. Here we go, confirmation of the starting order. So, 2 red cars lock out the front row in the form of Joe Gillette and Ismael Rodriguez. It is Oliver Taras on the row 2 ahead of Bratislav Uchitil. Eric Choltman will start 5th ahead of Jonas Karula. Then it's Thomas Kutka, Domenico Scarpelli, Philip Savinsky, and Marek Petras, your top 10. At 11th place, it's Budowin Zielhuis. Caroline Harvig in the top 12, which is a great qualifying for her, ahead of Richard Sevek, Christine Vazdar, Fahid Ahmed, Julian Carey, Louis Smith, and Frederick Lejon bringing up the rear in 18th. Of course, a reminder of the rules for Academy. Of course, 11 laps in both races, so these will be fairly short affairs, but it is quite a long lap for these Academy cars, Suzuka. And of course, the points go all the way down to 15th, and reverse grid pole is that 15th position. So race 1, finishing 15th, will take on an extra significance then. So keep your eyes on the order a bit lower down, the likes of your Caroline Harvig, Richard Sevcek, Christine Vazdar, Fahad Ahmed, Julian Carey, and Louis Smith. You see Pumat get into session. And, a couple of people have sent me a happy birthday wish here, which is very nice. Also, there's to anyone listening, there is a spot going free alongside me if you want to. Joe Gillette, the pole sitter, wishes me happy birthday as well. So there we go. Never doubted you getting on pole for a second there, Joe. But anyway, this warm up is only going to be about, you're not going to go the whole 9 minutes. But given that I haven't got anyone to bounce off of apart from Heigo, who with the best will in the world who's got the broadcast to focus on, I think now would be the ideal time to go for a break. So don't go anywhere. Race 1 will be on the other side of this short ad break. Hello and welcome back to the Suzuka International Racing Course for round 15 of the GPVWC Academy Championship. My name is Edward Hunter. In broadcaster action alongside me is Heigo Poom, and we have got 11 laps of all-out action ahead of us with Joe Gillette leading the field away from pole position, of course. So that is going to be very, very exciting to see Joe Gillette yet to take victory. We're also seeing support. Not only are we seeing more happy birthday messages for me, because it is, as we see, that looks like Marek Petras, I think, just going full speed into the wall at 130R and then crossing the other side of the track. It's not Fahid Ahmed now. It's actually, yeah, there we go. It's actually Bretislav Uchitil, who was qualified on the second row. And we see Leno in the chat. So he writes Bretigoat Uchitil, which, given that I'm just learning his name, is somewhat confusing for me. As you see, everyone Christian Vazdar started a trend of everyone driving backwards in the pit lane now, just like he was at the end of his aborted qualifying lap. Vazdar, he likes to get some attention. It's just not necessarily for good driving. But yeah, this is a great chance and a reminder for all of these guys, Academy, to prove themselves. And everyone in GPV is certainly going to be watching, and I hope there's a few eyes outside of GPV looking in for this fresh talent as well, because the likes of Joe Gillette, Uchitil, Ismail Rodriguez, Karula, Savinsky, Scarpelli, Louis Smith, of course, was driving in FSR Academy as well. I think him and Kutka were also there in I remember Louis Smith was definitely the Royal Blue. I can't remember if Kutka was driving for anyone in FSR. I might be getting mixed up with one of the GPV series. This is the problem when you commentate everywhere, that you get several drivers and series mixed up. I think people compete against each other, or they've driven before when actually they haven't. But I just want to check, by the way, that Joe Gillette hasn't won before, because that would be a very fatal mistake to make if I say that and then it turns out not to be true. But I'm pretty sure it hasn't happened yet. If I look at the results this season. Yeah, because of course there is no championship, so it is a bit hard to tell. But I remember last time out Korea, it was Andre Negrin who won race 2 from Thomas Kutka, of course, was there. And then it was Joe Gillette who won race 1, of course. So Joe Gillette has won before, and he won from Danny Robbins and Alessandro Maggio in that first race at South Korea, of course. And the grid just lining up now. We should be getting underway before too long. 11 laps of this 5.6 kilometer circuit, of course. One of the longer ones on the calendar. It's a little bit like Spa, except it crosses over itself. A few more comments in chat from Alexandra Maggio says, happy birthday, Ed. Kirsten Harvick, I think is another member of the Harvick family, says, go Caroline. So Caroline Harvick getting lots of support. Almost as much support as me, it would seem, for my birthday. Matthias Bizkazan says, happy birthday, Ed Hunter. Alessandra Maggio says, rooting for Joe Gillette and Caroline Harvick tonight. So that is great to see. Maggio would normally be competing in Academy. Looks like somebody is stuck in the garage, as we see the lights coming on for the formation lap then. And then the grid looks like everyone is out there apart from Choutman and Petras. And Petras is now joined, so we're just waiting for Choutman. And then the formation lap will get underway with Joe Gillette and Ismail Rodriguez leading at the head of it. And there they go, off the starting line then. So the two red cars in formation. But it's anyone's guess which of them is going to be ahead when they get into turn 1 at racing speed. So let's go through the starting order then, from top to bottom. Joe Gillette and Ismail Rodriguez line up on the front row ahead of Oliver Taras and Bretislav Uchitil on row 2. Behind them on row 3, it is Eric Choutman and Jonas Karula in 5th and 6th. Row 4 is Thomas Kutka, Domenico Scarpelli. Row 5 is Philip Savinsky and Marek Petras just behind him, rounding out the top 10. Then on row 6, it's Budawin, Delhuis, and Caroline Harvick in 12th. 13th, it's Richard Sevchek ahead of Christian Vazdar. And in 15th, it's Fahid Ahmed and Julian Carey. And finally, on the last row of the grid, it'll be Louis Smith and Frederick Lejeune in the pink car just behind him. We'd always love to see Fred carrying on, soldiering on, getting some experience in that pink machine to add to his belt. And you never know, Frederick Lejeune could be at the start of a very, very promising career. Who knows? And Louis Smith too, for that matter. But up front, it's these two who are going to be in each other's wing mirrors. I feel this is going to turn into a two-horse race, really, if they can break free from Oliver Taras. Certainly quick. Uchitil and Choutman, both new. We can't rule them out, although Choutman, I believe, has gone back into the pits, has he? He's showing on my timing screen is in the pits, so I have to see if the light blue car shows up in 5th position here. Nope, here he is in the garage. So he needs to get out of there quickly if he wants to start from the pit lane, but that is going to promote Jonas Karula into the top 5 and promotes everyone behind upper space as well. So bitter goal for Eric Choutman, because a great opportunity for big points. Well, no points actually, but a great finishing position to put himself in the shop window, given his relative lack of experience this season in Academy. But regardless, everyone else is going to continue, so there'll just be a vacant spot on the grid where Eric Choutman would otherwise be, I believe, in 5th. But that will not bother the top 4 of Gillette, Rodriguez, Taras, and Uchitil. Joe Gillette now just slowing the pace down as he eases into his box, just trying to keep those little embers of heat in his tires to make sure he is not going to be caught out by Rodriguez or indeed Taras into turn 1. Lejeune then, he's going to be the last to arrive, just behind Louis Smith in the yellow Academy vehicle. Now that he's in position, it's going to be any moment now. The light's coming on, and we're about to get underway for the first of our Academy races here at Suzuka. 11 laps to go, and we are underway. And it's a pretty even start, but it's Joe Gillette that leads away into turn 1. But Rodriguez is under attack from Oliver Taras. Taras is going to try and go the long way round, and in fact, he's got Jonas Karula alongside him as well as Bretislav Uchitil. And Uchitil and Karula go side by side on the exit of turn 1. Oh dear, and one of the green cars dropping down there. And that must be Scarpelli, who's had a bad start, dropped behind Caroline Harvig, Christine Bastar, and Fahid Ahmed. So that could not have gone particularly much worse really for Scarpelli, but at least he's still in the race ahead of Louis Smith. At the order up front, Joe Gillette, Rodriguez, Taras, Karula, Uchitil, Kutka, Savinsky, Petras, Zelhuis, and Sevacek. That is your top 10 rounded out then. So Karula, he's got to settle in now. He's gained that position due to Choutman, who's still stationary in the pits, so he doesn't look like he's gotten into this race yet. It might allow him to start a lap late, but I can't see much point in him starting really late in this race. As we see a dive up the inside into the hairpin. That's Christine Vasdar fighting with Caroline Harvig. Harvig is going to be stranded on the outside there. Vasdar makes a clean, incisive move there, and Caroline Harvig is demoted back down to 12th position where she started. But look at this, Oliver Taras all over the back of Ismael Rodriguez. And Rodriguez is really going to have to start getting defensive here as Caroline Harvig immediately fights back into 200R and gets ahead of Christian Vasdar there. And Vasdar looking a little bit scruffy on exit. So these two, this battle's going to run and run. Remember, that's going to be the high positions come race 2. Currently, Louis Smith holds that magical 15th position that will get you into pole position for race 2 as Taras now looking up the inside into 130R and spins around Ismael Rodriguez. And oh dear, that was a bit over-ambitious and optimistic from Oliver Taras, and Rodriguez is now stranded in the runoff area at 130R. And just rejoins there. He's managed to hold onto his front wing, but now he's behind Louis Smith in that 15th position I was just talking about, ironically enough. And Ismael Rodriguez, the handling does not look too good here. Is he going to crawl into the pit lane? Indeed he is. So Rodriguez is going to lose a lot of time here. I think he may have actually carried. No, he did pit as we see the battle between Vasdar, Harvig, and Ahmed. Here we go. Caroline Harvig on the outside then of Christian Vasdar. Vasdar's got the inside for turn 1. And Caroline Harvig slots back into 11th position there. But great to see her really in the thick of things with Christian Vasdar. Neither of them quite able to break away, and they're dragging Ahmed and Scarpelli along with them. Though, it is Karula who's benefited from that chaos to jump ahead of Oliver Taras there at 130R. But he's now over 3 seconds behind Joe Gillette, who just absolutely drifts it into Degnal 1. So we're going to see a replay now, courtesy of Heigo Poom, race director. And this is going to be the move from Oliver Taras. He ducks out. He had just about a wheel and front wing alongside the rear wheel, but Oh, I think that's really unfortunate there. I still stand by. I think that was maybe Oliver Tarras would have been better served waiting for the main straight and getting the slipstream into turn one. But Ismael Rodriguez, see, is their defensive move here. He's sort of slowly drifting to the middle of the road. Oh, and yeah, almost didn't expect that to happen to him at all. Yeah, I think he thought he had it defended and that Tarras would back out, and Tarras didn't. So that's really unlucky for Ismael Rodriguez. And in fact, he has... Oh, to finish the race, Scarpelli is around and into the side. Although, is that Louis Smith he's just crashed into there? Oh dear, that was another up the inside move at Spoon. I think it might have actually been Caroline Harvig, sorry, not Louis Smith. Indeed, there is Harvig just getting going again. So Harvig, again, another victim of someone putting her behind. You see Oliver Tarras trying to go around the outside of Carula, so he's recovered from his mistake earlier. So we've got a great battle here for second. Jonas Carula holding up a huge train of cars all the way down to 8th, I think, here. And the Gillette sets the fastest lap, 1:56.7. Oh, as Caroline Harvig in more difficulties down in that 15th position as Tarras spins on the outside. You were never going to make it through there on Carula, Oliver. That was a bit of an ambitious move once again from Oliver Tarras, who's clearly making mistakes under pressure, and that's so easy to do, though, getting sucked in on the outside. I can't blame Oliver too much for that one, but that was a little bit messy, and that's two big mistakes from Oliver Tarras in the first 3 laps of the race. Of course, he's going by quite quickly, only 11 laps then, so he really can't afford to be doing things like that. Here we go. This is Scarpelli, Harvig. So there we go. Harvig is delayed by whoever's in front of them in the baby blue car. Scarpelli's got the inside. Oh, and Harvig turns in from the outside. Either didn't see Scarpelli in time or hoped that Scarpelli would back out. And this is Oliver Tarras then, trying to go around the outside of Jonas Carula. Oh, there we go. He lost it on his own there, just offline on the dirtier part of the track early in the race with heavy fuel tanks. The rear just swapped ends on him. And there we go. Tarras did continue in 6th position, though. And here's Julian Carey fighting with Domenico Scarpelli for 13th position then. And Scarpelli holds him off. But Julian Carey, we've not seen in action too much this season. Great to see him really in the mix and could well be a factor come race 2. But now let's refresh ourselves of the order here. Thomas Kutka challenging for 2nd position. And there is Joe Gillette breezing away up the road. But Kutka's got the inside into 130R, and he takes that 2nd position. We haven't seen Kutka in action in FS2, I believe. He's subbed for a couple of teams. Carula now being outfoxed. Oh, and that's Uchitil just losing it through the chicane there, getting a bit over-eager on the power, and that is going to allow Filip Savinski, who has bided his time down in 5th position, to maybe mount a challenge here. Savinski himself has got Oliver Tarras, who's starting to catch back up to him, so this fight for 2nd, it's definitely not over yet. Oliver Tarras holding a big train of cars down to about 10th or 11th. So Tarras, he's just set a 2 minutes 1, whereas Joe Gillette is set a 56.2. And then got Kutka in the 57.2s, Carula in the 58.1s after being overtaken, and then Uchitil and Savinski in the 57.7s and 57.6s respectively. So that is your lap times up front, but Carula has not given up, passing the similarly green-coloured, it's a slightly different shade of green. It's light green for Kutka, and I think a darker green, there we go, for Carula. As we see Vazdar passing Ahmed for 10th position. So great to see Christian Vazdar sneak his way into the top 10. Yeah, nearly at half distance now. Gillette has a 6-second lead now over Thomas Kutka, so all that battling behind has really allowed him to just stretch his legs, stretch that advantage, and it is quite a high track temperature as well, so tyre wear could be a factor towards the end of both of these races. 49 degrees, of course, so that is going to put these soft tyres through their paces. As we see Kutka going a bit wide out of Spoon, and this could be the opportunity then for Carula to get alongside in the long run towards 130. Through the trees they go, past the old motorcycle pit lane on the right. Carula's got the line, but he doesn't quite have the momentum to overcome Kutka. Kutka ran wide, but was able to gain the speed back on exit, but goes way too wide out of 130. Just about collects up, and here's the opportunity for Carula into Casio Triangle. Oh, but just has to back out of it. We've seen exactly a few examples of what can go wrong here. Now Carula's setting himself up well for the start-finish line. Can he get the run he needs here? is going to defend on the inside, forces Karula to go the long way round. There's Uchitil, who's trying to get the slipstream off of the pair of them. Behind, he's moving out to the racing line as well. Karula's going to surely have to back out here, and indeed he does. He's still tucking right behind the gearbox as Joe Gillette gains another 2 seconds on this lap. He's absolutely flying, and Kutka is holding them up. A reminder further back then, it is Caroline Harvey comfortably holding on to that 15th spot ahead of Frederick Lejeune by about 8 seconds. So Caroline Harvey, despite losing a few places, certainly quids in to take advantage. Come race 2 as Kutka slides into Degna 1 and is followed and emulated, if anything, by Jonas Karula. Karula, who's had some really fighting drives this season, and really shown his class on occasion. Regular feature in the top 5, of course. And Kutka, of course, has finished on the podium before. Will be very keen to defend this one. But what can Bretislav Uchitil do? He has he's actually been holding off Savinsky fairly convincingly here, and the bright blue car now looking to snatch an advantage anywhere he can. If Karula messes up an overtake on Kutka, then Uchitil will be there to take advantage. Now at half distance then, we see a couple of comments in the chat. 182 Craigie says, lovely memories. I think that might be Craig Patterson. And Alessandro Maggio says he's criticizing Oliver Taras, I think. But I can't repeat what he said on air, sadly, because I know exactly what it sounds like, even though he's spelt it to trick the profanity filter. There we go. Into lap 6 we go. The lead from Joe Gillette is now 7.5 seconds, I think. So, here we go, side by side for 7th position. And that is Zelhuis being overtaken by Marek Petras then. So Petras goes around the outside of him, but he's going to be a little bit vulnerable into turn 1. Here's Sevcek. He's got a grandstand view for this fight as the pink car of Zelhuis has to back out on the inside, loses traction and gets hit and collected by Richard Sevcek, who has nowhere to go and hits him again for good measure. So what a sorry sight that is. And that is going to allow Christian Vazdar through into the top 8, and Fahid Ahmed is going to sneak through into 10th as well. So very clean race so far from Fahid Ahmed. Zelhuis drops behind Louis Smith as well. Smith, another who has just kept things clean and has gained places as a result. But let's see a replay then. This is the collision. So, yeah, Zelhuis dropped it on his own, and Sevcek immediately behind was sort of following, hoping to sort of follow through the S's and make a move perhaps out of Dunlop. In the end, he ended up being collected, and it's lucky he didn't lose his front wing in the process then. So Karula continuing to pile the pressure onto Kutka, but now Joe Gillette has got the lead over 10 seconds now. As is incredibly impressive from Joe Gillette, and perhaps we should have expected it after he's doing the same that he did in Korea last time out. He very easily won proceedings there too. But Karula now senses there could be a moment here as we're into the second half of the race. The laps are going to start to run out here, and he may get desperate in his attempts to pass Thomas Kupka for that second position. Kupka again defending the inside into Casio Triangle, forces Karula to not have the ideal line on exit, as we see Zelhuis losing more positions then behind Julian Carey. Potentially in the sights of Caroline Harvig as well. Karula's got a great run onto the start-finish straight, but does he have the overlap he needs to sweep around the outside? It doesn't look like it, as we see behind. Is that looks like Oliver Taras stuck behind Savinsky now. Taras has caught back up to this pack. It is now a 5-way fight for second once more. But Taras needs to clear Philip Savinsky pronto, and Scarpelli coming up the inside of Fahid Ahmed. Ahmed sweeps around the outside into turn 1 and holds on as Scarpelli loses the rear end. Wonderful four-wheel drift there, but unfortunately it's not going to do his tyres or his position in the race any good. Uchitil, he senses that Kutka is struggling here, hold backing Karula into him, and these three running nose to tail then through Degna 1 need to make sure they don't hit each other, and off track goes Thomas Kutka, and he rejoins alongside and just in front of Jonas Karula there. And here's the opportunity for Uchitil. He's been waiting for this one. He's going to try and go around the outside of Jonas Karula at the hairpin. Can he pull this one off? Karula breaks late. Uchitil slots back in behind. And all this squabbling is wonderful for Oliver Taras, actually, because what has happened to Savinski, he's still stuck behind Savinski, of course. So actually, Savinski will be licking his lips at this as long as he can keep Oliver Taras behind him. Lap 7 of 11, then 12 seconds is Joe Gillette's lead. He's in another postcode here. He's exiting the Mii Prefecture and he's heading straight to Tokyo at this rate. Such is his lead. And here comes Scarpelli. Fahid Ahmed is going to try and defend the inside into Spoon. Scarpelli's got more speed on the outside, but he's not got the overlap. Fahid Ahmed, there we go, just turns in, and Scarpelli is forced to go into the runoff. And we'll have to try and get the run into 130R. Then Karula has not given up on Thomas Cook, who's defended stoutly. And he defends stoutly once more, but not stout enough. Karula slots up the inside, gets us up alongside through the Casio triangle, the two bang wheels. Uchitil is going to go around the outside of Jonas Karula. And can he make two moves in one here? He might potentially get the toe, but Karula is getting the toe instead. And now Uchitil has to slot in immediately into that third position. He's got himself onto the podium here. He's going to pull out to the right. To the left, I should say, and he's going to run out of road once more. So Kutka somehow holding on to that second position, despite the fact that he's much, much slower than these two. It seems he's really struggling to keep those tires alive in the dying laps of this race. Look at this, still all of them running inches apart. If I tell you what, if Kutka makes a mistake here, it could be curtains for both Uchitil and Karula behind him now, and Karula will be very disappointed to lose out on that podium. This is going to run and run and run till the flag. Nobody is looking to be lapped at the moment. Frederick John 57 seconds down on Joe Gillette, but not looking like he's going to end up holding up anyone. But Oliver Taras has been very, very patient actually behind Savinski at this phase of the race. And it's just let the three ahead squabble. And in fact, as I say that, there we go. Taras trying to go up the inside, and he's pulled the move off on Philip Savinski, but Savinski's still there. That's going to be the inside for 200R. So Oliver Taras has got to hold on. Throw Spoon, and they bang wheels. That was very aggressive from Savinski coming across on the track, and he's going to hold on through Spoon corner there. But Savinski desperately wants that fifth place. He's not going to let Oliver Taras intimidate him, and he does a bit of intimidation of his own, it would seem, on exit there. Aviation Chad sounds like he's rooting for Joe Gillette. And he also says Karula is destroying his tires, which is interesting. But here comes Uchitil trying to go around the outside of Kutka. But again, not quite having the overlap to pull that on off. And here go Oliver Taras again, trying to go the long way around. What a superb move there. Completely boxing in Flip Savinski there. Savinski will, of course, get the toe onto the start-finish straight. Let's see what happens here. Kutka still ahead of Uchitil, and now weaving to try and break the toe, as indeed is Oliver Taras. Taras holds the inside. Will Savinski swoop around the outside? No, it doesn't look like it. So into the S's, Oliver Taras has finally got into fifth, and maybe with 3 laps to go, he can join that fight for second on and the podium positions. Look, Taras has to go a little bit compromised. Make sure he doesn't barge into the side of Savinski, but here we go. Here was the opportunity around the outside. This is a tough move to pull off, but you really have to be late on the brakes to make it work, and Oliver Taras judged it absolutely sublimely. That was a textbook move, and certainly he needed it after how the race has gone for him so far. Oliver Taras could so easily be running in P2 right now if he had not hit the back of Jonas Karula. Now Karula is going to have Taras bearing down on him again before too long, as he desperately tries to keep up with Uchitil and Kutka. Kutka's still struggling and not really breaking away from the cars behind. Uchitil set his personal best lap that last time around, 57.5. Attempt slower than Kutka, but that's of course because he's being held up by him. Joe Gillette still lapping in the high 56s, so comfortably extending that advantage. You see yellow in the first sector. Somebody's come to grief behind, and is that is Uchitil, who's had a slow run through Spoon, and this is going to allow Karula to try and go around the outside into 130R. This is a risky move. It's Uchitil just going to hold his line here and force Karula the long way around. Karula will try, oh, there we go, and cutting him off immediately so he can't get up the inside into Casio Triangle without a late brake maneuver, and he's not going to risk it this time. But Karula compromises his exit here through the chicane. This is allowing Kutka to escape. Uchitil is going to be vulnerable. Up the inside goes Scarpelli, and Scarpelli spins at 130 yards. Sevcek couldn't quite leave enough room for him there, and this is going to allow Fahid Ahmed into the top 10 ahead of Scarpelli once more. Here comes Karula trying to go around the outside of Uchitil. Uchitil defends brilliantly into turn 1, and he's going to start using up his tyres here. It's all looking very, very even here. But the thing is, this is really playing into the hands of Kutka, who has now got a second gap on the pair of them. The final lap is not far away then. And surely Joe Gillette, his second win of the Academy season, beckoning. And it doesn't look like he's going to throw this one away with the lead that he's got. Meanwhile, further back, it looks like Zell Huis has dropped behind Caroline Harvig, the tune of 3.8 seconds. So either he's got damage or this is a tactical move to try and... I shouldn't cast aspersions on the drivers, I guess, but this feels like a tactical move to try and get that reverse grid pole. But so nonetheless, Caroline Harvig will be very happy to start, I think, on the front row, given that this race did not quite pan out the way I think she would have been hoping after the first lap. Kristen Vazdar up in 8th, down in 14th. Just a couple of seconds away from Chivian Care. We are about to start then. Final lap. Kutka has started upping his pace to just a tenth slower than Joe Gillette, actually. 157.1. And comfortably quicker than both Uchitil and Karula. Here we go. This is Scarpelli's move. So he was alongside from quite early on. And then Sevcek. Oh, there we go. Actually, there was no contact. Scarpelli just lost it on his own, I think, actually. He did a full 360-degree spin there. And Ahmed very gratefully pops up the inside and takes that 10th position. So it's going to be great news for Fahid Ahmed. I think he's very rarely finished in the top. I'm not sure if he has finished in the top 10 before, so he will be certainly very grateful. The big gainer is, of course, Vazdar up in 8th. Christian has done a good day's work and still chasing down Marek Petras, who's 1.8 seconds ahead of him. And in fact, Vazdar sets lap time a whole second quicker than Marek Petras last lap around, but he's going to be 8 tenths short at this rate unless Petras is really struggling on tyres. Uchitil, though, resolutely holding on to 3rd place from Karula and Taras. It really strikes me that Taras and Karula sort of tripped over each other today when they needn't have. Karula has done his level best, actually, from sec to try and defend second, but he's ended up being outfoxed. And maybe even suggested in the chat, didn't quite keep the tyres alive. But big mistake from a little bit from as Karula closed in, but Taras goes way wide onto the grass and onto the gravel at Degner, and he's going to come out just ahead of Filip Savinsky and going quite slowly as well. Will Savinsky dive up the inside into the hairpin? No, he thinks better of that one and tries to focus on his exit. Then we see yellow in sector 1 as Caroline Harvig drops behind Zell Huis. Joe Gillette, whoa, that is wide from Joe Gillette. So Caroline Harvey drops down to 15th and reverse group pole. So she only needs to finish then, beat Frederick Lejeune to start on pole position. But that was a big moment actually from Joe Gillette, who was pushing really hard out of spoon. He's lost a couple of seconds then in that middle sector. 11.5 ahead only instead of 13. But that will not bother him one jot, because at least he avoided the wall there. And Joe Gillette negotiates the Casio Triangle chicane as Louis Smith makes a late overtake on Zell Huis for 13th. But Joe Gillette is going to take another race 1 victory here at Suzuka, and a last-ditch attempt from Karula to go around the outside of Uchitil for 3rd. Uchitil defends brilliantly once more and is able to hold on to the final spot on the podium. Savinsky is just going to fall short, attacking Oliver Taras. And that's really a top 6 over the line then. So we wait now for Petras. Oh, a bit of smoke behind. Somebody's cut the gravel there. I think that may have been Vazdar. So Petras does beat Vazdar then in the end because of that. We now got Sevcek coming towards the line. Then it's Fahid Ahmed. He takes a great top 10 finish. Fahid Ahmed's delighted with that. Look at him swerving towards the pit wall. There's Julian Kerr. Going to bag a solid top 11 here. Of course, all these guys down from 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, guys and girls, I should say, in the case of Caroline Harvig, have got a big advantage for race 2 because they're going to start much higher up the grid. And as we've seen, it's not the easiest place to overtake Suzuka International. It's Louis Smith with that late overtake on Scarpelli and Zell Huis. He is going to take top 12 there. So Louis Smith, I think, can feel very delighted with that. Scarpelli, I think, will be a little bit disappointed because his pace where he qualified was a little bit better than 13th. Del Ruiz desperately disappointed with the move that didn't quite work out in that big spin at turn 1. And there is going to be your reverse grip pulsar to Caroline Harvig, who's going to comfortably beat Frederick Lejeune, who is carrying on without the front wing then. Must have lost it quite late on in the race, probably on the final lap here, pushing to try and catch up to Harvig, who he must have seen make a mistake 8 seconds up the road from him. He's now going to be quite a distance, about 30 seconds down on Harvig after missing that front wing. And we're going to see a replay of what happened to add insult to injury for, no, this is Taras, I think. This is Taras just after he's made his mistake at Degner. And then Savinsky shadowing him in the wing mirrors, but I don't think Savinsky made it through. Oh, there we go. So this is Taras. He drifts across. He got on the rear tire on the rear left on the curb at Degner 1. Slid across, completely cut Degner 2. And there's Caroline Harvig spinning on her own out of that 13th place and dropping to 15th as a consequence then. So desperately unlucky for Caroline Harvig, who had recovered well. Then just a little bit too eager on the throttle there. But there is the the silver lining, which is that reverse group pole that she will inherit as a result. Now, confirmation of results then. Joe Gillette takes victory once again in Academy from Thomas Kutke, which I think was the order in Korea, if I'm not mistaken, the top 2. But it's Uchitil who takes his first podium ahead of Junius Karula. Oliver Taras takes 5th after a slightly messy first race ahead of Philip Savinsky, who kept it very tidy. Marek Petras holds on to 7th from Christian Vazdar, who gained loads of positions from where he started. Richard Sevcek holds on to 9th ahead of a very, very tidy Fahid Ahmed, who's improving all the time. Then in 11th, we have Julian Kerr. Louis Smith in 12th. Domenico Scarpelli 13th. Boudouin Zelhuis is 14th, and there's Caroline Harvig down in 15th, who will start race 2 from pole position ahead of Zelhuis, Scarpelli, and Smith. Then it will be Lejeune, who's our final finisher, down in 16th. He'll start race 2 in 16th as well. And of course, Ismael Rodriguez retiring early on after that collision with, I think it was Taras, wasn't it? And then Eric Choutman also not starting the race, so he's not quite classified at all. And hopefully we'll see him in action in race 2, given he qualified in 5th. So a short break now as we wait for race 2 to get organized. On the other side, it's going to be Caroline Harvig on pole here at Suzuka, but your winner in race 1 is Joe Gillette. Welcome back to GPVWC Academy. We are still at Suzuka Circuit. We've got race 2 to come here at this fabulous 5.6 kilometer circuit. 11 laps of action still remaining after 11 laps have been completed. And Joe Gillette took his 3rd win of the season after winning race 1 in Korea. And he also won race 2 in Hungary as well. That puts him equal with Bobby Vakanov, of course, in the winners list this season. But Maggio still leads the way with 6 wins to his name. 5 of them in race 1 and 1 in race 2. Because race 2, it's a trickier one to win, especially given that Joe Gillette will be starting in 15th place on the grid. Whereas at the head of the field, it will be, of course, Caroline Harvig. And on the front row alongside her, it'll be Zelhuis. Rujawin Zelhuis, of course, spinner. Both Caroline Harvig and Zelhuis having big spins at turn 1 and 2, which cost them quite a few positions, but they were able to stay in the top 15, which means they benefit from reverse grid. I'm sure they would much rather have finished a little bit further up in race 1 and then had more work to do here. But nonetheless, we have seen Caroline Harvig inherit reverse grid pole before at Dubai, and I think made a very slow getaway from the line. So she'll be hoping to not repeat that mistake again. She has been one of those drivers that just improves as the season has gone on. At the start of the season, she was sort of finishing in just about in the top 20, and now she's a regular regularly knocking on the door of the top 10, top 12. I think 12th might still be her best finishing position. As for Zielhuis, hard to say really how he will do. He's a bit of a wild card here. But as long as he keeps it clean, there's every chance he could maybe, if he can clear Harvey quickly, scarper away into the lead. The big threats are going to be a bit further down in the form of our podium finishers from race 1. So the likes of Christian Vazdar could be quite strong. Savinsky, Taras, Karula, Uchitil, Kutko and Gillette. Those are going to be the ones to watch out for, slicing their way through the field. They have got below 6 cars in front of them, potentially more if you're further back. Now, we just wait for Choutman, who I believe is going to try and rejoin. And Karula actually showing in the pit lane now as well, which is bad news for him. Looks like the field is led away then. Caroline Harvig out ahead of it, just ahead of Boudewijn Zielhuis. And it's Domenico Scarpelli and Louis Smith to take up row 2. Row 3 is Julian Kerr and Fahid Ahmed in 6th. And there's Richard Sevcek and Christian Vazdar on row 4. Row 5 is occupied by Marek Petras and Filip Savinsky. Row 6 is taken up by Oliver Taras and Jonas Karula. Row 7, it's Brechislav Uchitil and Thomas Kutka. Row 8 is our race 1 winner Joe Gillette, just ahead of Frederick Lejeune. And our final row of the grid is hopefully made up by Ismail Rodriguez and Eric Choutman. So Choutman and Karula are both showing as stationary in the pit lane on my screen, which is particularly bad news. You would, Karula especially, I think, would have been hoping to gain ground, and Choutman, we won't know what he could have done. There is Karula. He has got going again after being disconnected, so he will start the race from the pit lane. Eric Choutman, I don't think, is alongside him. So Eric Choutman sadly will not get to see in action in either race, which is a big shame after he qualified in the top 5. You never know really what he could have done today. Hopefully, even if he can participate in the race, he can at least watch on stream with the rest of us and enjoy the action. But at least Karula will make it 17 cars on the grid this time. Lots of support for Joe Gillette in chat from Alessandro Maggio and Pike. I did ask, by the way, about Joe pushing it in the final lap into Spoon, and Joe said, I thought I'd just make it interesting. So by nearly crashing out of the race. Well, let's see how race 2 goes then, because if you thought race 1 was chaotic, then you're in for a treat with race 2. Caroline Harvig, she'll just be hoping she can keep it clean this time. There's a great chance once again of a top 10 finish. How dearly she would love that. That would really show and solidify the progress she's made over the past 6 or 7 months. Ismail Rodriguez is going to line up last on the grid, but of course he will be able to start ahead of Karula, who has to wait for him to pass the pit lane before he'll be released. Rodriguez, it's difficult to find your spot with 2 drivers not making it to the grid, but Rodriguez just about slots into 17th. There's Karula on the left, and it is Zielhuis and Harvig. The lights coming on now. Race 2 at Suzuka is going to be underway when they extinguish. And here we go then. It's a decent enough start from Caroline Harvig, who's going to lead the way into turn 1, but it's Scarpelli who's made a beautiful getaway on the outside to pass Zielhuis, but Zielhuis is going to fight back into turn 1 as it's all getting chaotic here. Julian Kerr being just overtaken left and right as they go into turn 1, and Scarpelli cuts the grass there. So it is going to be Harvig, Zielhuis holding on their positions, and Petras gets hit in the side there by the purple car there. And who was that? That must have been, I think it was Julian Kerr there. It's Thomas Kutka just trying to negotiate the chaos through the S's there. It's so difficult to run 2 or even 3 wide here. They're just asking for trouble doing that. And there we go. They're going running 2 wide as they approach Degner 1. Filip Savinsky trying to attack. That must be Louis Smith. 7th position. Smith hits Savinsky and himself off into the gravel at Degner. And that was a little bit clumsy, them tripping up over one another. Savinsky will be Very, very annoyed with that. And Louis Smith drops down now to 17th and last. But Karula then already gaining a place. But Scarpelli looking pretty fired up early on. He's got Fahid Ahmed, who has made a great start up into the top 4 here, ahead of Richard Sevcek. And it is Vazdar in 6th, Petras 7th, Kutka in 8th, ahead of Uchitil. Joe Gillette already up to 10th, ahead of Ismael Rodriguez. Rodriguez, of course, another driver who started right near the back of the grid. So all 4 or 5 of those guys, that's 4 drivers, Kutka, Uchitil, Gillette, and Rodriguez, making fantastic progress, with Taras not far behind them either. Let's see, what can Joe Gillette do? He's tucked up right behind Uchitil. He's going to try and go around it, get a bit of slipstream from Kutka ahead of them, as Harvig is under attack from Zelhuis and Scarpelli. Oh, Joe Gillette spins on the outside at 130R, and that was so risky that he's going to lose the position to Oliver Taras. Oh, and Taras spinning it, and Joe Gillette following around and almost collected there by Julian Kerr, and he is collected by Jonas Karula. Oh, that's so unlucky. Both of them now parting company with their front wings. Oh dear, but Scarpelli crucially overtaking Budwin Zielhuis, and that has got him into the top 2, and now he's surely going to chase down Caroline Harvig in this next phase of the race, lap 2 of 11, and a race 1 winner. And Karula, who finished just off the podium, and now in the pit lane being repaired, so that is a big compromise. There's not really going to be enough laps for them to catch up here. Scarpelli, though, this is a golden opportunity for those behind, hitting trouble, tripping over each other in order to take the win here. But Caroline Harvig has done incredibly well to hold on to the lead as long as she has. She will not be messed with. Here is Savinsky with, that's Louis Smith. Yeah, Louis Smith just hit the curb, went a bit too wide. Savinsky, the innocent victim, sent wide, and luckily rejoined the track as Louis Smith continues to collect himself up. But here's a replay of the start then. So Harvig on the left. This is Joe Gillette then, a bit later in the first lap, trying to go around the outside of Uchitil. And Uchitil, I think he was entitled to hold his... Oh, there we go. Gillette just lost it on his own there. Tried to turn it a bit too wide on the outside. Through goes Oliver Taras. Taras spins. Joe Gillette follows in sympathy. Is avoided by a few guys, but not by Karula there. He was in a battle himself, was trying to go up the inside. And yeah, just a bit messy and unfortunate. Here's Julian Carey being just swamped at turn 1 there and desperately trying to keep it clean. Did he? This is Savinsky, I think he's about to hit the side of here. Oh no, it's oh dear. One of the bright blue cars, of course. But they both survived that somehow. I think that may have been a Petras. But here is Scarpelli then. He is lining up Caroline Harvig for a move into turn 1 here. Yellow in the final sector, so something's happened behind Savinsky, in more trouble, dropping back down to 12th. But Scarpelli is all over the rear gearbox of Caroline Harvig. Can Caroline Harvig defend? She's just going to stick to the middle of the road here. This creates an opportunity. Oh, and Scarpelli lags back, actually. So that is going to temporarily give a bit of respite then to Caroline Harvig, as Ismael Rodriguez has dropped behind Savinsky. He's hit trouble, and dropped behind Julian Kerr as well. So let's hope Scarpelli's connection holds here, because that was a bit of a scary moment there. He was lining up a move and then suddenly found himself nearly a second back. But I'm sure he'll recover that ground quickly. And Caroline Harvig's just got to hope that happens a few more times and that Scarpelli can't attack here. But she's been doing absolutely excellent there. Ismael Rodriguez continuing to struggle. He's not really got to do much of either of these races, has he, at the moment? And it's not going better for him in race 2, down in 14th. He will fight on, as Lejon also coming into the pits now, so that's going to promote Karula and Gillette another few places. Yeah, Rodriguez is getting completely crossed up, and it's swapping ends on him into the first corner. Alan Harvig, meanwhile, just under 2 tenths then ahead of Scarpelli, with Fahid Ahmed now ahead of Sevcek. So what's actually happened to the man who started on the front row, Zelhuis? He's dropped down to 6th position there. So this has really not been a good lap for Zelhuis. Yeah, previous lap actually he lost all this time there. 2:02 last time around was the leaders are in the 158s. And look at this, Zelhuis continuing to smoke the rear tires through Spoon Curve, and that's going to allow Kutka, who just gets cut off there. That very aggressive there from Edwin Zelhuis. So can Thomas Kutka get the second place finish in race 1 get through, as here comes Scarpelli. He's got the inside line into Casio Triangle. Is Caroline Harvig going to sweep through around the outside? No, Harvig plays it safe. That's probably sensible then from the Danish driver, as here is Kutka all over the back of Benoît Zielhuis. Zielhuis hold on to this position because he's going to be absolutely under threat. And Arvid now attacks Harvig, so they're going 3 wide behind, but Harvig is just being absolutely swamped at this phase. And Fahid Ahmed up into second position. Wow, we saw him do this in race 2 in Korea as well. But there we go. Thomas Kutka does get through. Oh, big crash. And that is between Petras just losing it at turn 1 and hitting the side of Zielhuis. Richard Sevcek, by the way, has set fastest lap of the race, getting a lovely tow from the top 3 ahead of him. He's now all over the back of Caroline Harvig to the tune of 1.2 seconds. And this is the collision then. Petras was, oh, there we go. He lost it on his own and just sort of tried to slot up the inside just to avoid and ended up hitting Zielhuis anyway. So that was just a bit unfortunate from Petras there, but no intention, I think, of causing that. And now Ahmed, within half a second of Domenico Scarpelli, both of these two in contention for their first wins in GPVWC Academy as Sevcek tries to demote Caroline Harvig off of the podium. He's going to try and go around the outside through 200. Caroline Harvig defends the middle of the road here, trying to stop any more opportunities for Richard Sevcek. And Sevcek has to slot in behind at Spoon then. So Caroline Harvig, she may not be able to finish in the top 2 here, but she's defending very, very well that 3rd position. Here's Zielhuis now stuck behind Oliver Taras and trying to get back into the top 7 here, but looks like it's going to be tricky. The podium finishers from race on have not really made that much progress. Sevcek now up the inside of Caroline Harvig through 130. Oh my goodness me, they almost made contact there, and Caroline Harvig, brave, he's going to try and hold the inside then into Casio Triangle. Oh, and she's just about held on for another few corners then. We're on lap 4 of 11 now, and Sevcek's going to get another run then, potentially here with the DRS, as they go onto the start-finish straight. Ahmed, 7 attempts behind Domenico Scarpelli. As here's Sevcek then. He's going to mount another attack, and Harvig is going to have to sweep around the outside here. Can she do it? No, is behind. Up the inside, Kutka trying to fight back against Christian Vazda and sweeping through. That was a brave move, having up the inside as early as he did into turn 1 there. And Scarpelli, though, what is his gap to Fahid Ahmed? It is still just under 8 tenths of a second then. So Ahmed is not making a whole lot of impression. He was a tenth slower that previous lap. Domenico Scarpelli could win this one as long as Richard Sevcek does not get himself into play here, but he has cleared Caroline Harvig now, so that puts pressure on Fahid Ahmed then. He needs to get into the lead quickly if he wants to win this one. Just 6 laps to go. Meanwhile, here's Uchitil hiding away with, that must be Louis, is that Louis Smith behind him? No, that must be Joe Gillette, I believe. Yeah, Louis Smith in the yellow car. Yeah, this is Uchitil trying to gain a position on Julian Kerr. Sorry, I've got that completely wrong. And Julian Kerr is defending a bit of the road, but he looks so much slower at this phase of the race. But Uchitil has very much broken away from Joe Gillette, who's still stuck behind Louis Smith at this phase. Meanwhile, Scarpelli has still lapping pretty similarly. Here comes Uchitil up the inside into Spoon Curve. Nothing Julian Kerr can do. And Uchitil on his quest to get back into the top 10 then. So this has actually worked out pretty well considering how disastrous the first lap was for Bretislav Uchitil. And here's Kutka up the inside then of Caroline Harvig. So Harvig beaten back to 5th position, but anywhere in the top 10 would still be her best result of the season so far. So she's got to fight as much as she can and keep getting the embers of slipstream from the back of Kutka. But Kutka, of course, he was a second in race 1. Now potentially could pass Sevcek and get back on the podium in race 2 as well. So he's a really, really quick driver. Kutka, the only man in the 157.2s. Scarpelli's setting 57.8s. Ahmed set a 58.6. Sevcek a 58.1. And Harvig in the 59s, actually. So she's really just not making any mistakes, but her pace is nowhere near the level of the people around her. So she's doing her absolute level best to maximize her result here. I'm sure lots of people are cheering, not just Caroline Harvig, but also the likes of Fahid Ahmed and Scarpelli on as well. And Kutka, a real threat to all of them. Maggio says that him and Joe are best buddies, and he was absolutely heartbroken about that collision on the first lap. Gillette has actually set fastest lap last time around 156.3 as he tries to catch the 19-second gap to Louis Smith. I wouldn't put it past him here, as here comes Kutka trying to go around the outside of that Sevcek in front of him. Harvig now holding off Oliver Taras for 5th position. Kutka has a think about going up the inside of Spoon, but there wasn't quite enough overlap to pull that one off. And Kutka needs to get a move on. He's gained 10 places already in this race, but just 3 more and he'd be in the lead. It's only 3 seconds that he needs to win this race then. But he needs to overtake 3 cars to do it. Here comes the first one. Sevcek is going to be on the outside then as they go into 130. Thomas Kutka surely got this one. Sevcek almost off the track there, but just about holding on. And Harvig now sees Oliver Taras going around the outside of her into the Casio Triangle. Can Taras, the Brit, get it stopped in time? Yes, that's a repeat of the move he pulled off in race 1 on Philip Savinsky there. And Caroline Harvig just going to have to try and hope she can get the DRS down the main straight here. Ahmed has dropped to 1.4 behind Scarpelli now, and now Kutka is bearing down him. So Fahid Ahmed, he may be able to hold on to the podium here, but Kutka is really going to fancy getting that 2nd position. If he can clear Ahmed quickly, then it's only going to be a matter of time before he is bearing down on the back of Scarpelli. But here's Ismael Rodriguez. He's done it again. Yet more misfortune. But the unfortunate driver and the front wing this time is smashed off, and that is why Ismael Rodriguez is in the pit lane and retired from the race then. But here is Fahid Ahmed. Ahmed not used to running up this high, but having started in the top 6 has benefited from mistakes from those around him. Cleared Caroline Harvig quickly, as well as Sevcek, it must be said. And now could finish on the podium here. How much is he going to fight with Kutka as he goes a little wide to try and maximize his entry coming out of the hairpin though? But he's dropped another 2 temps to Scarpelli. It's his Vazdar on the back of Harvig now. Harvig is really going to struggle to finish in the top 8 here. If Zelhuis, who's only 3 seconds down, can catch in time. So Vazdar is really going to give it everything he's got here. He has set a personal best lap last time around. Harvig still in the mid-59, so she's really got to fight tooth and nail. Oh, Joe Gillette goes off again, and that really sums up a miserable race for him. He was just pushing that bit too hard, trying to brake too late on what happened here. Oh, he just got swapped ends on him as he was closing there on Louis Smith. That must have been ahead of him. And that's Lantunis Karula back through, of course. Here comes Christine Vazdar then putting pressure on Caroline Harvig, but Harvig will not go down without a fight. She is a tough customer, as Christine Vazdar, I think, is about to discover here. He will get a great slipstream onto the main straight as ahead. Is Oliver Taras trying to challenge Sevcek for 4th position. Taras has got the inside line as Kutka is again denied by Fahid Ahmed. Oh, Taras is spun around on the inside and Sevcek loses it on exit there. Those two just clattering into each other, and that felt very sad and avoidable there. That promotes, of course, Harvig back into 5th, Vazdar down to 6th, up to 6th, sorry, and Sevcek down to 7th, just ahead of Zielhuis. So that's really mixed up the order once again, and Caroline Harvig now has a chance of finishing in the top 6 or top 7 then, if she can just defend for another 3 laps. But it's going to be quite a tough job based on what we've seen already. Look at the close Vazdar is already 2 tenths behind. Let's see what happened here. So Taras and Sevcek. This is just the Sevcek who tried to go around the outside here. Tried to hold on with Taras on the inside. Did he squeeze him? I think it was a bit 50-50 there for me. I think maybe definitely avoidable though. I feel maybe Taras had the corner there and Sevcek should have. He did have quite the overlap though. I don't know which way to call that. But Oliver Taras getting off mercifully scot-free and gaining a position. Here's Kutka continuing to challenge Fahid Ahmed then, and he was 9 tenths quicker on the previous lap then. Scarpelli only 1.2 seconds up the road. I think Kutka is on for the win here, unless Ahmed can really do a great defensive job for Scarpelli. Here comes Kutka to the inside of 130. Ahmed leaves plenty of room, just enough room actually, for the bright green Academy car to get through. And now Kutka has only got one more driver to pass. He wants to win race 2 here at the Japanese Grand Prix, and how much action we've seen already. Caroline Harvig, meanwhile, still holding off Vazdar, Sevcek, Zielhuis, and Savinsky for that 5th position. And how dearly she would love to stay there But look behind, there you go. That's the red car of Caroline Harvig. And actually, there's a bit of a gap behind Vazdar, so she might be able to hold on to 6th position here, unless Sevcek ups his pace. Sevcek himself has been caught by Zielhuis, who's only 4 tenths behind, and has been actually flying over the course of this race. 58.5 last hour and personal best. He's now down to the leaders. Scarpelli set 57.8 last time around. Kutka at 57.3. So 1.1 seconds is the gap at the moment, but Kutka has got plenty of time here to catch, but he needs to make sure he doesn't mess up here, because this is where the pressure will be at its height. Kutka, who I think is yet to win in GPVWC Academy this season, but he has finished on the podium a couple of times. Now the top step beckons, and it's only Scarpelli that can stop him now. And Ahmed, meanwhile, actually doing very respectively to keep Kia in front of him in sight. But he's absolutely dropped Oliver Taras, though, who's really 2 seconds down on them. Meanwhile, Harvig still battling away with Christian Vazdar. It's those two have been... It's been the story of both their races fighting each other, really. And in this race, it's Harvig holding on for that 5th position. And oh, here's Zielhuis going wide. Is this going to allow Filip Zawinski to get back into 8th? No, it is not. But Zielhuis really feeling the pressure there. There in front of them are Harvig and Vazdar. Vazdar looking to mount a move into 130R potentially here. Is Vazdar going to pull out quite late? No, he's going to tuck right in and then try and position himself for the Casio Triangle. He knows that's where Caroline Harvig might be a little bit weak. Vazdar's going to try around the outside. Oh, and just loses it, and he's hitting the side, actually. And now completely cuts the chicane, so we'll have to give the position back to Caroline Harvig. Harvig, there we go. Thank you very much. I think that's my 5th place, you'll find. She thinks to herself, but would not dare say out loud, I think, because Caroline Harvig is a very nice lady. Here we go then, a replay of what we just seen. Vazdar trying to go around the outside at the Casio Triangle, has to brake very, very late indeed, and loses it, and then just makes contact there. So I think, yeah, that wasn't really Caroline Harvig making the contact there. That was all Christian getting out of shape. But that is giving Caroline a little bit of breathing room then, with 2 laps to go, including this one, of course. So we are approaching the final lap, and Kutka is all over the back. 6 tenths now behind Domenico Scarpelli, and this could be the moment as Scarpelli goes a little bit wide out of Degner 2. It could be this lap coming into 130R or into Casio Triangle that Kutka makes the crucial move. But wow, here we go then. Zielhuis trying again to attack Richard Sevcek around the outside of the hairpin, but not quite able to make the move, but he is going to try and hang it out on exit. He's got the inside line for 200R. Will Sevcek squeeze him? No, he will not, and that's going to allow Zielhuis, who has waited patiently to get up to that 7th position. He's finally through, and maybe he's got a chance of getting involved in that 5th place battle with Vazdar and Harvig ahead of him as Zielhuis again uses up all that's left of his rear tyres through Spoon, and that's going to leave him vulnerable. But here comes Kutka. He's got a great chance to dive up the inside into the Casio Triangle. He's only got another lap to do it if he can't pull this one off. Here we go. Scarpelli brakes late, clobbers over the curb, and that's really going to compromise his exit here. Here comes Kutka, tucking in once again. And this is going to be a great opportunity then into turn 1. Scarpelli moves to the right to defend, taking the inside line. So it will have to be the long way round for Thomas Kutka, and he's going for it. Here he comes then. Can he sweep through round the outside and take the lead? He's going to go for it. Scarpelli's still there. They make contact. They just about avoid spinning each other around, or do they? Side by side on exit there. And Kutka is through on the final lap of the race. Fantastic. And Caroline Harvig is defending from Richard Sevcek. And Sevcek goes wide. Here comes Zielhuis. Zielhuis has got the inside. He's going to snatch away that 7th position. Zawinski is actually going to try and attack Sevcek as well. So now Caroline Harvig has just got to hold on from Vazdar for the rest of this lap, and she's going to incredibly get a top 5 position. Very few people, I think, would have expected that coming into this. And Fahid Ahmed, let's not forget about him in P3, with Scarpelli as well getting his best result of the season 2. But it's Kutka who's going to take the ultimate honours here. Scarpelli starting to fall into the clutches of Ahmed now. Ahmed is all over the back of him, and in fact, he fancies P2 here. Oh, bring it on. Let's see if he can make the move then out of Spoon, but it's going to have to be quite something because there's not a lot of time left in this race. And could go. Oh, Caroline Harvig, no! Dropping down to 8th position. She's been absolutely swamped at the hairpin there. Oh, and your heart's got a break there. She was doing so well to hold on to that 5th position, but it's not over yet. Look at the battle ahead. Zielhuis now in 5th, ahead of Vazdar. Then it's Sevcek. Here we go. Uchitil trying to get involved around the outside of Petras as well. At Spoon, Uchitil is going to make that move stick. And Harvig will have to settle for 9th position unless something dramatic happens up ahead between Savinsky and Sevcek. But here comes Kutka then through the Casio Triangle. It's going to be a win in race 2 for him and his first win of the season 2. Thomas Kutka will be delighted with this. Here he comes, and he knows what an excellent drive he did to gain 11 positions in that race. Scarpelli will hold on to second. Ahmed on to third. Savinsky under attack. Harvig desperately trying to hold on to that 9th position. Here comes Uchitil. He's going to try and go around the outside and snatch that 9th position. And look, here comes Savinsky and Sevcek crossing a line right together. But Harvig also holds on to that 9th position, as do Vazdar from Sevcek and Savinsky. Wow, what a race 2. So many amazing stories there. But it is Kutka that comes out on top. Joe Gillette finishes exactly where he started, down in 15th. So we're going to see a replay now. I believe this is what happened to... this is the battle for the lead then. This is Kutka getting through on Scarpelli then, going into the final lap. And was there anything Scarpelli could have done here? I don't think so. I think Kutka just had so much more pace than him. Swept to the left-hand side, but it was a brave, brave move. He really had to commit to make this work. Left just enough space on the inside for Domenico Scarpelli there. And then had to complete the move around the outside. And there we go, Scarpelli. I think he gave it his level best. Here we go, Caroline Harvig. She's got Christine Vazdar right behind him. Does Vazdar make contact? Vazdar dives, and spins her around. A sort of lazy half spin there, and they both get collected and through. Go. That looks like Zielhuis and Vazdar just recovered in time, but sadly Harvig ending up behind Sevcek and Savinsky as well. And here is Sevcek challenging Savinsky then on the run to the line. Is as close. So Savinsky clobbers the curves, gets a little bit... he runs a bit wide on exit, and this is what allows Sevcek to try and move around the outside here, but there just wasn't enough. He needed a longer run to the checkered flag here. Sevcek just didn't have enough time to get the DRS there, and he backs off, actually. Sevcek low on fuel, because he finished behind Vazdar, of course. Yeah, so Vazdar got through there, and this is on board with Harvig. This is a sickening feeling as we see 5th about to slip away here. Vazdar just tags the rear tire, and Caroline Harvig, I think, will be, as much as she'll be furious with that incident, I think she drove absolutely brilliant in terms of her defensive driving today. There was a gap, but it was going to close again, and I think a bit clumsy from Vazdar, in my opinion, but I can understand why he went for it there. It is Caroline Harvig's view of that squabble, and she very, very nearly actually lost 9th to... she was trying to brake really late to take... Savinsky again, wasn't she? And unfortunately, it didn't quite go her way. But here, that looks like Uchitil, who just fell short there at the line. So there's Kutka making his way back to the pits. But now we should see confirmation of the final results. There we go. Thomas Kutka winning race 2. So it's 2 podiums in a row for him, 2nd and 1st. What a brilliant day he's had. Domenico Scarpelli takes a brilliant 2nd position, just holding off Fahid Ahmed. Both of them doing very well to hold on to the podium ahead of Oliver Taras. Rudwin Zielhuis, he gets to top 5 of Christian Vazdar. Richard Sevcek will finish 7th. There's a little bumping in the pit lane now. I didn't realize how bumpy it was there at the back. Filip Savinsky, he will take 8th position, and poor Caroline Harvig, who held on to 5th for so long in that race, was just denied in one mistake by Vazdar hitting the rear of her. But nonetheless, I think she impressed a lot of people today. And finally, Uchitil, Branislav Uchitil, on his first appearance, he does round out the top 10. And it is Petras who finishes in 11th ahead of Julian Kerr, Louis Smith in 13th, Rula in 14th, and Joe Gillette in 15th after both of them suffered early damage on finishes. Ismael Rodriguez and Frederick Lejon. Sadly, Rodriguez not getting to do much, and Lejon struggling, sadly, not finishing like he did in race 1. So that is your lot in terms of your racing action. Does anybody want to speak to us in the interview room? Because if not, this is going to be a very short broadcast. Let's read a few comments while we wait. Alex Maggio says Caroline and then heartbroken emoji. And Joe Gillette's response, he said easy at the end of race 1. This time he said less easy as he finished 15th, which I think probably sums up his thoughts on the race quite succinctly. But wow, certainly so many great stories. And your winners today are going to be Joe Gillette and Thomas Kutka. So no sign of anybody interested in going to the interview room. Christian Vazdar in the race direction lounges are replaying his final lap incident. He's got Karula, Chris Williamson, Alex Lahu, Christos Svillo, Iskazan, Tuamela, and Sev Panasenko are all in there. But I don't think anyone wants to talk to us. So if it's all right with you, Heigo, I am going to end the stream. And yeah, I got the go ahead there. So thank you very much, Heigo, for helping me in the broadcast. Thank you very much to you for watching Academy on 2nd of October 2023, which was, of course, my 28th birthday. And I think what a birthday treat I've had, getting to see some fantastic action and commentating on it too. We'll be back at the next round, which I believe is going to be round 16 at, is it Abu Dhabi next time out? I'll have a very, very quick check because we got plenty of time. No, it is the United States. So Daytona, I believe, is the next round on the 16th of October. For that, well, final Academy round of the season is going to be Brazil, Interlagos on the 30th of October. So don't miss either of those if you've got nothing else to do on a Monday evening. But even if you do, make sure you get time to see these bright young talents. So a reminder of the winners. It was Joe Gillette dominating in race 1, but it was Thomas Kutka making up 12 positions from where he started. Snatched the lead on the final lap from Domenico Scarpelli here at Suzuka in race 2. Thank you very much for watching. And tune in next time for more on Tuesday night for more GPVWC action. Thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.